Welcome, I'm Brian Wilford, Member of Parliament for Richmond Hill, and this is MP Report. I'd like to go over a number of issues that have happened over the last week. The first one is that the Citizens Complaints Committee of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam has been in town and been meeting with myself as chair of the Canada-Vietnam Parliamentary Association and with various colleagues. The purpose of their visit is to look at how members of Parliament deal with complaints, or as I indicated to them, concerns, dealing with constituents who come forward and say, I have an issue dealing with a specific issue, how can you resolve it? I'm having difficulty with the bureaucracy. And so this is something new that the Vietnamese National Assembly has established. And the Citizens Complaints Committee's role in Vietnam is to look at how they can arbitrate these issues, how can they resolve them in a favorable manner. So they've been here for about a week, and we've had some fruitful roundtable discussions with them. Members of the association have met. They've met with members of the bureaucracy, and they've had an opportunity to see a bit of Ottawa, to get a better understanding of how our system of government works. It's really an important step for the Vietnamese in terms of dealing with complaints and more accessibility for the public. Behind me, by the way, is the Justice Building. That happens to be the building that my office is located in. The Justice Building is built on very much on the railway style of buildings that dominate Parliament Hill. That particular building is called the Justice Building because it housed the Justice Department when it was first built in 1935. It is the youngest of the buildings. Next door to it is its sister building, the Confederation Building, which again houses members of Parliament, and that was built in 1927. The buildings on Parliament Hill were all built in the 1860s, except of course for Centre Block, the main building of Parliament, which was destroyed in the Great Fire of 1916 and rebuilt in 1919, was rededicated with what is known now as the Peace Tower. Last week, of course, our committee, the Defence Committee, which I'm Vice Chairman of, continued to finish up its work on Arctic sovereignty, which of course is very important in terms of looking at the future of the Arctic, particularly in terms of the defence issues, the effect of climate change, etc. We also, of course, had the another committee dealing with the issue of influence peddling and the Jaffer issue as to whether or not there was undue influence exerted by a former member of Parliament. That is lobbying. Of course, to lobby, whether you're a former member of Parliament, whoever you are, you have to register in terms of being a lobbyist. And the committee was looking at that issue as to whether or not rules had been broken. And I'm sure we're going to hear more about that in the future. Certainly, I'm not going to pronounce judgment on that. But it is, of course, the effect of anything like that has an effect on all of us. And obviously, as taxpayers, we obviously have to be concerned about any influence that may be brought to bear on government, particularly by former members. The importance, in particular, last week, we also, dealing with witnesses before the Afghanistan Committee, we had three former senior ambassadors who came before the committee to talk about their roles in Afghanistan, about the issue of transfer of detainees to the Afghan authorities. I certainly, as the Vice Chairman of that committee, want to point out to you that, again, the issue is not about our soldiers. It's about whether or not we knowingly wound up transferring people to Afghan authorities who then tortured individuals, which of course would be a violation of the Geneva Convention. One of the issues that we dealt with last week was on the issue of climate change. We had a Liberal motion before the House which passed. Again, the importance of dealing with real targets for climate change, looking at real solutions to deal with an ever-changing environment. And as we know, the sea levels, if they rise more than 1, even 2 degrees, obviously will have a tremendous impact on coastal lands, whether in Canada, the United States, or certainly affecting Pacific Island states as well. The other thing that last week we had a private member's bill before the House of Commons on euthanasia. I did not support that. The wording of that resolution in particular was very, very broad, but I do not support euthanasia, and I had a lot of constituents. A lot of you had contacted my office, and I've sent out many letters on that, indicating again that certainly we do not support that, and that bill went down overwhelmingly, I think, by a 3-to-1 margin. Many of you would have already received by now our householder for spring, and again, an update on some of the issues that we're dealing with. And I'd also like to point out to you as well that as the honorary board member to York Opera, we held a very successful fundraiser on the weekend, and that was very important because, again, they are now housing their operatic performances at the Richmond Hill Centre for the Performing Arts, which of course is great. It's great revenue for the municipality, and it's a great exposure for opera, not only in the community of Richmond Hill, but certainly in the wider community of York Region. So again, I want to thank you for watching and look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you.